you're not behind. You were a 13-year-old handling 20-year-old problems. So now that you're 35, you're just tired.
So I know that you are also an intuitive. So I was telling you behind the scenes that I first became familiar with your work and with you because you led a session on human design a couple years back that I
Mhm.
attended. And I was like, oh, this is really dope. And it spoke to me. Like it made me make sense to myself. But I noticed that you're also an intuitive. And for those who are just or are listening and may not know what does that mean, what is an intuitive?
Well, I like to say medium,
A
a
medium?
psychic medium. It's a little bit more direct. As my grandmother used to say when I was a kid, the only difference between me and a prophet is one of us can recite Bible verses quicker than the other.
Okay.
That's all. So that's how I like to say it. When it comes to, people are like, "Oh, what's that? What are you doing?" Me and prophet in the church are the same thing. We get the information from the same place. You just,
Mhm.
people just don't wanna hear that, and one of us can recite Bible verses quicker than the other, and that's all. So, that's pretty much and then, with the mediumship, of course, speaking to people who have departed or have crossed over to the other side and who have messages for people who want to come through and say stuff.
Mhm.
And, as far as the psychic and the intuitive, just kind of knowing the energy. I always say that the work that I do, you already know what it is. It's just you're coming for confirmation. Of course, I do have the ability to, you know, s- talk about things that haven't happened yet, but
Mm.
everyone has free will.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you always known you mentioned your grandmother. Did you know since you were a child or did your
Yes.
grand okay.
So my grandmother knew, because I would know when people were calling the house, or I would bring up relatives that had died that I hadn't ever met, by name. And so it would be things like that.
Wow. Now did your grandmother also have this
Yeah,
gift?
it's in my line, of
Yeah.
course. It's in my line. So hers was more healer based. She was a really, really great healer. My grandmother owned a daycare. She was, had an at home daycare. She raised three generations of a neighborhood. And she was a healer with, medicinal stuff.
Mhm.
And so with her hands.
Mhm.
So it was a little bit different, but she still had the gift as well.
Gotcha. So my question is I always am curious as to are you able to tune out um people who are trying to come through. I'm not even sure how to like say it. Like, you know
No,
what I
no, that's
mean?
a valid. Because everybody looks at. It's so funny. One of my mentors, everybody looks at like Teresa Caputo from like the Long Island Medium. Like she just don't have no boundaries. That's really what it is. No, it's for real. She's, I would never walk up to someone like, "Excuse me, your grandfather's like that's
Mm,
just no. That's
right.
a boundary issue. That's not necessarily making her. She's been doing this longer than I have, but she just doesn't have any boundaries. But
Yeah.
yeah, you make agreements with spirit. I don't want to pick up stuff on people. It was a little bit more difficult because I didn't understand when I was younger, like going to parties and stuff like that, or being around people. But now it's a lot easier for me to like turn it off. Do I pick up information in general all the time? Absolutely. Do I say anything? Absolutely not.
Mm.
So I'm not here to be a sideshow act.
Mhm.
That's probably one of my pet peeves about psychics and mediums and intuitives and gifted people who just give messages without, getting people's permission, not having boundaries.
Mhm.
Because certain people, everybody doesn't want to know.
Yeah.
And some people just love living life the way it is. And sometimes the messages, as accurate as they are, can be off putting.
Mm.
And some people just don't want to know.
Yep.
And so I keep it to myself. I made a pact a very, very long time ago because some instances happened where I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna say anything until somebody asks me.
Yeah, I get that. Now, is there ever a time where you get some information that weighs on you and like maybe impacts like your own like just how you're feeling that day?
Like even if it's like a friend or someone who as an associate or someone in my vicinity, I have a rule with spirit, which you have agreements. You know, it has to come to me 3 times before I say anything. I won't reach
Mm,
out to someone.
gotcha.
And those 3 times can be over the course of 6 months. Who knows? Or sometimes it's been over the course of a year. And then I'll reach out and say something. But usually people who are within my vicinity or who know me or know of me, when I do come with a message, they know to take it seriously because they know that I've waited
Yeah.
a very long time to say anything.
I was raised in a very traditional, like, Christian household, and
Mhm.
I've always had questions, and when I would ask my questions to, like, family, people at church, they were shut down, right?
Mhm.
So as I grew into myself and had my own autonomy, like, I would just start to just be more open-minded and curious about the world around me and things that I could see and could not see, right? And the conclusion that I came to was that God would not just send us to this world with literally no tools, right? So as I've started to learn more about different things, for example, like human design and, I know just a teeny bit about astrology, like these all can be just spiritual tools that we use to navigate life. So what are some other tools um, that might be helpful for us as we're navigating through that might be kind of not easy, but might be more approachable for somebody who's brand new to this?
No, absolutely. I mean, of course, human design, astrology, numerology. Another system is cardology, and cardology
Mm,
is based off of actual playing cards. So every birthday has a card associated with it. You don't need your birth time. That's probably one of my favorite as far as when people ask me about like romantic compatibility. Cardology is my first, human
mm,
design is my second, and astrology is my third when I look at compatibility between whether it's couples, like romantic, platonic, or business relationships. But cardology is the energy of the card. So everybody's birthday carries an energy
mm,
and is associated with a card. So your card, it's just like the playing card. So you have your ace, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, jack, queen, king, and then the suits, just like that. So each has, I hate to say hierarchy, but each one has a different energy
mhm,
that it holds. And if you look at the through line of, some celebrities or public figures who have certain cards, you'll see the through line of their card play out. And the cards have a system where, based off of certain things that you're supposed to learn or your karma that you're supposed to get over in this lifetime, where once you do that, you get certain rewards. And after certain ages, certain things will happen, or compatibility. It's so good for compatibility, especially
mm.
romantic compatibility. I love cardology for that. I love it, love it, love it. I have a course called Your Power Card, and it talks about cardology. It's just very brief, just on the actual card that your birthday is. It talks about that.
Oh, interesting. So we'll definitely link that down below in the show notes so that way the listeners can go ahead and take the course and find out more. Shoot, I'm going to take the course and find out more. So you ranked, I think you said astrology as like the third for compatibility and things.
Romantic compatibility.
Interesting.
Yes, for romantic compatibility. And here's why. And I always keep notes on this. So let me bring up my notes. I always keep notes on this. And the reason why I keep notes on it because I've been doing this work for over a decade, and professionally for almost, yeah, over a decade as well. And so when it comes to astrology, astrology is the reason why I rank the cards first. The cards tell you your the dynamic of the energy between you two. Like I said, there are rankings.
Mhm,
So there's, the hearts, the clubs, the diamonds, the spades. So there's rankings there with that. And then the numbers.
mhm,
So each thing has its own number. So the cards are going to tell you the energetic dynamic between you and that person. And then human design, it shows you the tools that you have within the relationship and
mm.
also the energy. And then astrology, it's really telling you what is and what the possibilities are and what the potential challenges are.
Gotcha.
Because with astrology, you're working with not only synastry of you and the other person, but you're also working, they're on their own timeline and you're on your own timeline. So depending on your rising sign, you might have certain transits happening in certain houses, and that can be a little bit, you know, it can get a little jumbled. But the cards, I would say first, human design second, and then astrology third. And that's for any relationship.
Wow. Let's talk a little bit about human design. So during the course, the I think it's like a workshop that you led a couple
Hmm.
years back. I did mine, and I also did my husband's and my kids at the same
Okay.
time. So I learned that I am a projector. I forget what my numbers are,
Okay.
3, 5, maybe,
Okay. Okay.
and he is a something generator, manifesting
He's a
generator.
manifesting generator.
Yes, him
Oh,
and
how's,
my oldest
oh,
son.
wow.
So what I learned from about myself is that I need to just wait and let the things
Well, not
happen.
necessarily
Okay.
wait.
Okay.
It's waiting for the invitation. That doesn't mean you sit around and do nothing. You still got to show up to the party. It's more waiting for those invitations, for those big invitations in life. So for projectors, big invitations in life will be marriage, will be kids, will be jobs, big things that kind of change the directory of your life. So I'll use. I'm trying to think. Who can I use as an example? Oh, Barack Obama. He's a projector.
Oh.
Um, he was just, helping out the neighborhood, giving speeches here and there. And somebody said, you should get into politics.
Mhm.
That's an invitation. And he said, sure.
Hmm.
And then he became the president of the United States years later. Issa Rae is a projector. So she was
Interesting.
minding her business, doing her, a awkward black girl on YouTube. And then she got the invitations to do stuff. And then she did Insecure. And then now here's her life.
Hmm.
Steven Spielberg, Jeff Bezos. Like, there's a few projectors out there that
Interesting.
it's like invitation.
That's food for thought for me because I'm thinking, okay, I'm waiting for my invitations because I feel like I'm doing my thing
And
and I'm
well,
waiting.
that's why it's when you see projectors have what it looks like overnight success, but they've been actually working behind the scenes for 10 plus years. It's because projectors perfect their systems in isolation for years before anyone notices. Then suddenly they get recognized, and it seems like they came out of nowhere, but they've been mastering their craft, studying and developing their expertise while others were being busy visible. When the
Hmm.
right invitation comes, they're so prepared, they appear to have instant results.
Mm. Okay.
So that's what it is with projectors. When you look at all of the projectors, you're like, you can pinpoint when they had this, now they're famous.
They just
Now
blew
people
up.
know them
Yep.
moments, but in actuality, they've been doing the work all along.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost,
That
I like
makes
to say
sense.
projectors are the prime example of two sayings. Will Smith, even though he's a generator, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Hmm.
And another one that, I'm sure many of your listeners favor ain't fair. Like it
Yeah.
just happens. So
Yeah.
that's how the projector life is.
So I also want to talk a little bit about numerology.
Mm.
So I don't know a lick of anything about numerology. So how do we how do we choose a number, or is a number assigned to us based off
No,
our
your number is your birthday.
Oh.
So your life path number, you just add up all of the numbers for your birthday. So if you were born in January 1st, let's say something I can add up quick, 1900. There, so you take 9, 10, 11, 12, your life path would be a 3. So you just take that. Your life path is the overall energy of your life. So meaning the path that your life, if you are living in alignment with your life, you will always have those themes come up. So you
Okay.
just add each of those numbers for your birthday down to one single digit, unless it adds up to 11, 22, or 33. If it adds up to one of those three, that would be a master number. So, and it's very rare for people to have master numbers as their life path number. So your life path is sort of like the energy that, so for instance, I'm a life path 5, Beyonce's a life path 5. So it's like she's adventurous. She travels
Mm.
for work. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? That's
Mhm.
what life path 5 is about: traveling, taking risk, trying new things. If you're life path 1, you're a natural leader. If you're life path 2, you're someone who is naturally good at communication and partnering with people and bringing people together. So each life path has sort of a theme, and they all have like a positive side and a not so positive side. That if you're in alignment, you will always experience the positive side. But if you're not in alignment, then you might have some of the negative qualities. But numerology, what it does is it's an energy. So it helps you stay in alignment that your soul wants, your purpose wants. So you can constantly move forward in life and complete the things that your soul has asked you or you've want to do in this lifetime.
What does it mean to be in alignment?
In alignment, in my opinion, is ease, not necessarily not working. People think ease means you don't work.
Mhm.
I think that you work, it just doesn't have to be hard. I think that, in my opinion, alignment is when you're working towards something, regardless of if you don't feel like it one day or if you don't want to do it, that it's leading you somewhere, that there's going to be a path constantly opening up. Or if you look at let's say if you're in a forest and you can't see the path, but if you are walking the right direction, all of a sudden the path becomes clearer.
Mhm.
That's what alignment means for me.
Mm. That makes sense. That makes sense. Um, so we've talked a little bit about cardology, numerology, human design. We didn't talk about astrology, but how does one use all of these things to maybe even become in alignment or to explore themselves better? Do we, or do we just pick one?
Well, my book that's coming out next year, Embody Your Magic, it talks about all of the past. So we talk about psychic channeling, we talk about mediumship, metaphysics, human design, astrology, and numerology, and of course, internal family systems, a little bit of that. And so what it does is it helps you take these tools to live your best life. You can either use them all or you can just pick one to figure out like where you are.
Mm.
And each of them sort of ask a question for you to answer. Like for human design is, it's pretty much like, how do I choose to live my life? And which way am I going to do that? And human design helps you, you know, answer that because every aura type has a strategy and authority that if you follow it, things will unfold for you. So
Mm.
it's not necessarily about choosing one, they all come into play at different times in your life. But the main thing that people must know when using these spiritual modalities is that you still have to do healing work. There's still going
Mhm.
to be healing work that you have to do that's going to require you to look back, to do some shadow work or do canyon work, as I like to say, to go into the canyon and do that excavating work of figuring out your childhood, figuring out those parts of yourself that show up as the reason why you do things.
Mhm. Do you do you think that the modalities that you mentioned can they help us reverse engineer? Like, help can they help us understand some things about ourselves, maybe from our childhood?
Absolutely. Astrology has it all. I
Mm.
can look at your chart and tell you what happened. And
Mm.
there's some astrologers who are really, really amazing who have been doing this for decades, who can pinpoint exactly when things happen based off of transits, looking back in your life. You can do all of that with astrology. And you
Mhm.
can see some of the themes that have happened when, I can look at your chart and progress back and tell you, like, oh, okay, you met your husband here.
Mhm.
Or this is when you had your baby, because there's different progressions and different transits that happen in your chart that make room for that create the environment. I like to
Mhm.
say that astrology creates the environment because someone's like, oh, astrology is not real and blah, blah, blah. You still have to do the thing. So if it's a transit happening that says that you're going to find love within a year and you stay in the house,
Not gonna find
you
love.
ain't going to find love.
Right.
that that's not how it works. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Or, there are people who might find love, but they, it might not be what they want. So it's all of these tools are there to help assist
Mhm.
and to help you enhance and to use them. These systems are ancient.
Yeah.
This is not something that just happened like last week.
Yep.
This
Yep.
is, before our time.
You mentioned family systems?
Internal family
Internal?
systems, IFS.
Okay, what's that? What does that
Well,
mean?
IFS is a therapy practice. I'm not a therapist, but I've taken courses on IFS and it's parts work. So we have different parts. You have firefighter parts, you have self parts, and these are just parts of yourself that they protect you. They fight for you. They they pretty much are what you've been taught and how you associate and communicate with yourself and other people.
Mm.
So I'll give you an example. What's a good example? Like a firefighter part is what they call it in IFS, is a part that is going to try and firefight for you and take out all the crisis. So when they feel like we're being threatened or somebody's trying to burn us, we're going to stop it. And that may be good, it might be bad, but everybody has different parts of themselves. Or you have like an inner teen, you have an inner child.
Mhm.
And these are all parts that have experienced things that you have to talk to and that you have to kind of get on board with your adult self, especially parts work really comes into play. And I think it's mostly, in my opinion, it's mostly helpful for children who come from emotionally immature parents.
Mhm.
Because there's, parentification, there's a lot of things that children of emotionally immature parents have dealt with or haven't dealt with, and they're dealing with a lot of parts. And as you age and as you get into adulthood, there's certain things that you have to rectify within yourself in order for you to heal and also to become your full self without some of the things. People who have been born into families with emotionally immature parents or caregivers, they have there's a big challenge ahead of them when it comes to their healing journey, because a lot of the mental and spiritual and sometimes even physical things that someone who has had or has, emotionally immature parents has dealt with earlier than the average 13-year-old or
Mm.
the average 10-year-old. So what I notice, I work with a lot of women and men who come from emotionally immature parents. So there's this sense of feeling behind and
Mm.
feeling like, gosh, I feel so behind, or I'm not
Mhm.
where I want to be. But you're not behind. You were a 13-year-old handling 20-year-old problems.
Yeah.
So now that you're 35, you're just tired.
Mm.
You're
Mm.
you're really just tired because you've been
Yeah.
doing, somebody who started their life or started adulthood really mentally at 20, let's say 21, someone with an emotionally immature parent has started mental adulthood maybe at like 13.
Mm.
So you have like
Yeah.
10 years ahead of someone. So by the
Yeah.
time you get 30, 33, you're not behind. Your body is just catching up to the mental anguish that you've dealt with.
Ooh. That reminds me of, when we talk about oldest daughters, especially like
I
in
was just
in
gonna say that.
oh,
Yes, it's the same
yeah.
thing.
Mm.
It's the same thing. So the oldest daughter, I'm the oldest and the only, it's the same kind of energy. That's why I always, not trying to bring up the Kardashians. That's why when, Kris Jenner and Courtney always argue,
Mhm.
I say Courtney knows a different Kris than everybody else.
Mm.
That's not
Yeah.
the same mom that everybody else is experiencing, because Courtney's the oldest, even though I think the age difference between her and Kim is maybe 2 or 3 years. I said, "Courtney, the mom Kris that y'all know, that's not
Yeah.
the Kris that Courtney knows.
Yeah. True.
She
True.
knows a whole different person,
Yep.
and it's just not being able to be seen."
Yeah.
So that's what happens with eldest daughters too, is like you are parentified and you take on responsibility, and God forbid you have siblings.
Yep.
You start parenting at an early age.
Yep. And it wasn't your decision. It was not your choice. Yep.
Not your choice at all.
Yep. Mm. And, do you think that we all have the gift, but just haven't honed it or have suppressed it or not so much?
Yeah, everyone's psychic.
Yeah?
Babies and animals are the most psychic.
Mm.
Life makes you unpsychic. Life suppresses it. Religion suppresses it. Socioeconomic status suppresses it. Community suppresses it. Poverty, those systematic things that suppresses it. What the capitalism wants you to be separate from your body.
Mm.
Because if you were with your body, we wouldn't be out here doing what capitalism wants us to do.
Yeah.
So that's why when you pick up a baby and the baby's like crying for some, the baby can feel it. That's their only defense mechanism. Or when a dog and they're like, all right, I don't want to talk, they can
Mhm.
feel it. They're in their body. So as we get older, you're less and less society, capitalism wants you away from your body.
Mm.
The more you, that's why, and you may have heard this or not, when you start your healing journey, there's been many studies that when people start doing really deep trauma work, they become more psychic. They'll be stories like, oh my God, I'm more psychic. Like I predicted this because they're back in their bodies.
Mm.
Because trauma separates you from your body.
Mm.
It dissociates you from your body. So when you start healing and you start being in tune with your body, you can pick up things, you sense things. It's not that you become psychic, you just it's back on the line.
Mm. It also makes me think about the spiritual aspect too. So thinking about how, African and indigenous practices, spiritual practices were so demonized, right? That also is a way to separate us from our bodies and who we are.
So when you think about faith
Mhm.
and the black church, slavery, all of that stuff, right? So when we think about that from a perspective of Christianity in Black America and focusing on enslaved Africans, right? And the spiritual traditions of the Christian doctrine,
Mhm.
if you want to say. So, Christianity evolved as a tool of survival to platform like societal like redemption.
Mhm.
And pretty much when you think about this, when we came here, when we were enslaved, there were a lot of hush harbors during slavery, is what they were called. And hush harbors were pretty much enslaved Africans who were still worshiping their African um, their practices, the drumming,
Mhm.
all of those things, dancing, spiritual expression, all that ancestral veneration was happening. And it was had to be done through through biblical figures, so we couldn't be found or
Mhm.
known about. And so the hush harbors kind of fostered a solidarity and resistance. And Nat Turner
Mhm.
rebelled against that, all of those things. And then what happened is when slavery, was done with, there were different types of European missionaries that would come around, so they could what was called civilize African Americans
Mm.
and their spiritual practices. So the missionaries would come around and tell them that the African rituals and the things were not right, that they were too
Mhm.
wild. So they actually outlawed drumming. They outlawed certain communal practices and they infused more Eurocentric sort of calmness
Mhm.
to our practices. And so during the Reconstruction era, the Black church became a moral authority or a vehicle for societal integration so we could
Mm.
fit in.
Mhm. Mm.
Okay. So once again, removing us from our bodies,
Yeah.
making us like prime and prepped. And that's where kind of the respectability politics kind of came into play,
Yep.
where these politics of what was right and what was wrong kind of came into play. And so that's how Christianity sort of washed out our traditions of being with the earth, with
Yes.
spirits, with all of these things, because it was
Mhm.
really about being respectable. We want to be respectable because the respectable is because the biggest fear back then, let's think about it. Wait, you're free now. they're going to kill us all.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out once again how to maintain and control so they don't rebel.
Yep. Yep.
So that's what
Yep.
how the whole kind of Black church and those respectability politics kind of started. It was through white missionaries who wanted us to, hey, don't be too loud now because of X, Y, and Z.
Man, it's layered. It is deep.
It's
And
very deep.
my goodness. So much food for thought. But before we wrap up, I would love to know what
Mhm.
is a practice or a ritual that you have just to keep your spirits lifted.
Oh man, there's so many. Probably reality TV.
Ooh, what you watching right now?
Everything. I love me some Bravo. I love all my housewife shows. I still watch Love and Hip Hop. Please don't judge me. It's a mess over there. But I love, like, Project Runway. I'm so glad that that's back. So stuff like
Mhm,
that, just to keep me out of it, or a really good series. I used to write
mhm,
screenplays, so I really love just a good series,
mhm,
good show. But if anything, the biggest thing is to be in your body. When we think about what's going on in the world, as messed up as it is, the biggest thing that I tell people, the more that you can connect with your body, that's your power. Your nervous system is your power. Stop watching the news. Um, Watch funny TikToks. Don't watch all of, the propaganda and all of that stuff. Laugh, you know, find joy, be in your body, because they can't take that away from you. Like, when you're in your body, if you have your mind, your body, laugh, dance, listen to music, do all of the things, go touch grass.
Yeah,
Like, there's
literally.
so many
Yep.
things. Our people have been through so much. Like,
Mhm.
this, I mean, we still, is it bad? Yes, but it ain't 1965.
And I pray it doesn't get there, Lord.
It's funny because there's always this conversation. I'm an older millennial. And so, I think some of the younger millennials, or the generation after that, they were like, "How did you guys, deal with the last recession?" I was like, "We had Obama. We actually had hope." Like, I don't
Yes.
people understand how collective energy works.
Yeah.
If we had Kamala in office, would we be in a recession? A recession, absolutely, because that's what the time. That's just the
Yep.
the system. That's how it works. We would still been in a recession, but we would have had hope.
Yes.
'Cause we had
Yep.
hope. Back then, I might have only had $20 to last me for 2 weeks to get
Yep.
gas to work, but I
Yep.
was going to work happy.
Yeah, when I was in my early 20s, even though I may be so broke, we all were broke together. We would go to the clubs before
All
11 or
together.
whatever it was, like, get our one drink. Like, now it's a little bit different because A, there's no hope, and B, just the culture, I feel like for young people, I feel like they're it's not a good time for them. I feel really bad for them.
It's I don't have any brothers, sisters, but my cousins, their kids call me auntie, but one of my nephews, he'll be 22, and he's like, "Yeah, I just gotta get my own place." I'm like, "For what?
Why? Like,
Why? What are
stay
you rushing
home.
for?"
Mhm.
I don't think you realize, seeing everything on social media with people your age, like, getting money,
Yep.
supposedly, and all that stuff. I said, "That's abnormal.
Yep.
You're on the
Yep.
right path. You're in college. You got a little job."
Yep.
His father owns a big construction company. He don't have to pay rent. I said, "You stay here until the wheels fall
Yes.
off this motherfucker." Excuse
Yes.
my language, sorry.
Yes. No, you
"You stay
good.
here
Absolutely.
until you don't have to be here anymore." I said, "You're
Yep.
rushing to get your own place for what?
Yeah. Yep.
Like, stay home. Like, be okay with that." I said, "When you see all of these kids and stuff getting money, and the streamers and all," I said, "That's abnormal. That's an
Yep.
abnormal 21-year-old experience. It's not normal. It looks normal to you because that's what all of your friends and what people aspire to, but that's an abnormal experience."
Oh
So
my
I do feel
goodness.
bad for them because they're keeping up with a fantasy. We didn't have that. We got to exist online, exist in life before
Line.
online. The sad part about it for them is that their personalities, who they are, is so infused in that. Like, you're not even
Mhm.
popular in real life. Get out of here. Like, what are you doing? Like,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
you're corny in real life. You're just
Yes.
popular online. There's a huge
Yes.
difference.
Oh man. Okay, so quick little lightning round. So the first thing that comes to mind for you, what is your favorite snack or drink when you are just not feeling it?
Salsa and chips and Olipop, any Olipop.
Any Olipop.
I love me some Olipop. I can't wait to have me a cherry cola Olipop when I get off of
If your
work.
inner child could be a book, or a joy-filled day, what would she plan?
I would go to Disney World. I've been so
Disney
many
World.
times. I love Disney World.
I've never been.
Oh, you have
I've
to
never been.
go. You should go now. You'll
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
Yeah, and Imma bring the 2 with me.
I'm not even gonna tell you how many times I've been, but I've been a lot. We love Disney as a family. We've gone together, we go separate. Like, I love Disney World.
Is there a luxury or a pleasure that you no longer feel guilty about? That you maybe have.
Yes. I'm never staying in an Airbnb ever again in my life.
I hear that.
I've done it once, never again. I'm a hotel me up,
Yes.
and I do
Yes.
not stay in all inclusives. Absolutely not.
Imma tell you one good all-inclusive.
Nope, I
N
won't be going.
I'm telling no, no,
Mm-mm,
no, please.
nope.
Hotel Xcaret in Mexico is different. I promise you it's
I'm going.
different.
As I'm
I
staying at the
promise you
Ritz,
it's
I'll
different.
drive by and say, "Oh, this is cute. This is a cute
I'm
little
telling you, the
adjustment."
food is actually good. The
I
service
don't
is
believe
great.
you.
It's gorgeous. I promise you. It's the only
Mm-mm.
one that I would actually recommend with
I
my
don't
heart.
believe you at all.
But thank you so much for your time. Where can the people find you online, and what can we purchase to support all of
Yeah,
those
just,
things?
go to if you're interested in booking a session with me, go to my, website, aceebrown.com. It's AYCEE brown.com. That's same on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube is AC Brown 1, with the number 1. And I have my book coming out, Embody Your Magic, next year, February 2026. You can pre-order it now. There's tons of different products that have just about learning different things, astrology, numerology, human design, and I do workshops. I work for, people who want to bring human design and astrology to the corporate space, or if you want to invite me to a retreat, all of that stuff.
Super dope. So I will have all of those things linked down below in the show notes. That way it's an easy click for you to go ahead and follow, purchase all the things, pre-order the book. Super important. And yes, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening to this episode of Be Well Sis. If you'd like to get in touch with us, there's a link in the show notes. Be Well Sis is hosted by me, Dr. Cassandra Dunbar, and produced by Edit Audio. Don't forget to hit follow so you never miss an episode. Until next time, be well, sis.